All right, it says we're live. I have no idea if we're live. We upgraded the StreamYard to the fancy one where you could do multiple things at once. There's check marks there, but I don't know if that means that it's working. I don't know, but we're gonna pretend that it is, even
It's
though
working.
you saw us on Twitter that we're.
I did.
That's awesome. We're live on Twitter. Yeah, there we are.
Nice.
It's cool because I really probably should have tested this stuff out, and I did not do that at all. So, I mean, it's 9:28. I hit the live button a little early. I don't care because that's just the way we are. So, hey, I'm Dynasty Outhouse, and I have a trading problem.
And I'm Brian Haar, Meatloaf Wildcat, and I also have a trading problem.
I like that you're introducing yourself with the duality now. It's not just, hey, Meatloaf Wildcat mofos. And it's not like, hey, Brian Haar. You're both. So we don't really know what to expect. And that's good. It the air of mystery at the intro to the show, it keeps them gripped.
Well, depending on how many beers I have and who has fired me up during the day, you get one or the other. So,
well, I haven't had the opportunity to listen to episode 2 of Dynasty Junkies yet, where you showed up.
Yes.
But I know leading into recording the show, there was much hazing of the name Saquon Barkley going on. So I know you got riled up there. I can assure you that won't happen from me. There are other people that might be coming up on the show, and maybe they do something. I don't know. I can't promise that. I don't control people. That's not the kind of person I am. But let's get into getting off that real fast before that goes to a place we don't want it to go.
Yeah.
Let me swing that mic closer to my actual face. So, hey, everybody. Welcome to session 107 of the Trade Addicts podcast, a member of the DLF family of podcasts. Also, a member of the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network, the DAP Network. I think I'm going to have to, respect Knuckles every time I actually do that. DAP. So that's just freaking awesome. So that's why we decided to go live. It's actually, we really were going to go live anyway, just because we like doing this and it's been a little while, but we figured why not actually dedicate this live episode to our newest venture, the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network. Obviously, Trade Addicts Podcast is a member of that. Also, the Dynasty Junkies, starring Rocky and Dustin at Dynasty FF Addict and at Dynasty Junkie, and Fantasy Timeline, starring at Real Fantasy TL and Super Dupaflex. Right now, those are the 3 shows that make up our wonderful, beautiful family. You can follow the network at DAP_network. And that's all the salesmanship we're probably going to do. But if you are watching this on the YouTubes, just click that subscribe button to make us feel better. Let us see that big number when it comes to how many people watch and how many people subscribe, because that's why we do this. Our egos, they need it. We feed off of it. I mean, this isn't fun. This isn't, we don't care about educating anybody. We are just empty husks that need your approval and adoration to exist. At least that's what Brian tells me.
That's what I tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Accurate.
Accurate.
Like us. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe. Subscribe. Wait. Dynasty.
Yeah, I don't even know where that button is.
Wait, ready? Dynasty Addicts.
Other way.
I'm going to get this. Podcast.
I hate
network.
Man, it streams. It mirrors StreamYard, and it screws me up every single time I try and do something. Okay. So let's talk about the important stuff.
Yeah.
I got over the ear headphones, and I feel like I feel like a professional now.
Yeah, man. Oh my gosh. I didn't even see. That's how much I pay attention, because you've been sitting here with them on.
And it's been like 10, 15 minutes. Yeah.
It has.
And these things are they're big. They're not.
I didn't even notice, but they look good, man. I'm telling you, it's a different experience.
It at 100% it is. It's getting a little used to. I have to find like the right folds for my ears to get in there and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But like seriously, like I feel more immersed
Yep.
in all of this stuff. Just I don't know, because it's just like encompassing my head, I guess. It's very strange. I don't know if it was the buds I had. I tried like 2 pairs, or if it's just buds in general, but I couldn't get comfortable. I was constantly playing with them, like swapping one in, one out, because I needed to hear what you people were saying. But so I decided just to do this.
How do you like it so far?
I'm loving it so far. Yeah, again, like I didn't realize at the beginning that, especially just because like these aren't noise canceling, these are nothing fancy, but still they're like all up in like all over your ears, so you don't have to, the volume doesn't have to be as high as you're used to.
Right.
So I'm halfway through, I forgot what the hell I was recording, but I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden I'm just like, yeah, why is my head hurting after all this? Oh yeah, I was on Rookie Fever with Finaro and Swags. Mm-hmm. And also I'm like, yo, like these things are hurting my head. And they realize, no, they are not. It is just blasting all up in my face. I lowered it and everything was fine.
Nice. Yeah, the only thing for me is my ears get hot sometimes. So like if I'm on a, like if we're doing a 5-hour draft show or something like that, you got to you do one of these for a minute, and then you do one of these for a minute, and then it takes care of itself. But yes, I enjoy the over ear headphone experience for doing Dynasty podcasts for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna hold on. Yeah, like I can't imagine like going for a walk and wearing these things, listening to music. Like that's definitely an earbud situation. But like sitting here, I got the big huge headphones things. I got the mic arm, like that's hanging off a desk, and I'm just like I feel like a podcaster now. Like this is the life. This is what it should have been from the beginning.
We've only been doing this for like 2.5 years, but now you feel official.
Yes.
Beautiful. Man, and you add in the graphics and stuff with the.
I did, yeah. StreamYard lets us do that stuff.
I'll tell you what.
My next move is, it's funny. Like I got myself so used to sitting at an angle like this because I have a TV over there. Mm-hmm. So when we used to record, well, we still record on Monday nights, but like I used to actually have the game on Monday nights while we were recording.
Yep.
Especially like I got a little too distracted, so I stopped doing that. But like I got so used to sitting at the angle where I could still like turn my head and see the TV and talking to the microphone and look at the show sheet and stuff like that, because I don't need to see you. Like, ew. But like if I turn, I have like a straight up blank wall behind me.
Uh-oh.
And you could do green screen stuff on here. So I am absolutely one day going to play with that a little bit.
Yeah.
This is gonna be fun.
Yes.
And now that we actually have, a network and all of that stuff, I feel like we need to produce more than we have been. So I'm going to be doing some random video crap, and it's going to have stupid shit behind me because I can.
That's beautiful. I can't wait. Can't wait.
Speaking of can't, and I have no transition for speaking of can't wait. It just felt like so good that I had to say it out loud. Like, no, I got to use that. Man, I mean, there's no news or anything, right? Nothing. Like we're in such a blah. I should have. I think all of the Trade Addicts drafts are pretty much rookie drafts are pretty much done at this point. I did not collect the full ADP. We'll put that off for next week when it's a real show and all that stuff. But 8 Trade Addicts League rookie drafts completed. I want more. I have a few more. But I don't know.
So, bro, I got to be honest. I am so sick of rookie drafts right now. Like, I mean, I went on the clock at 101 in CDGA today.
Yeah, you were only on there for 6 hours before you took your pick.
Yeah, so I didn't even know. I just literally. Yeah, I know. Pete Law tagged me, and that's the only reason I knew I was on the clock. And then you followed up with like he's somebody said I'm working or something, which I was working today. But
oh yeah, of course you were. I mean, but it's still, it's just fun to make fun of people.
yeah, no, I just had no idea, and I knew I mean I should have if I'd have paid more attention. I just my brain right now with these drafts is just so scattered because there's been so many of them, and we've been talking rookies and we've been talking rookie drafts for, I mean, basically since the Super Bowl ended. So it's just been a crazy couple of months.
Yeah.
And I'm getting excited for like a week of no rookie drafts. Like just eventually.
Oh,
here.
I'm not going to get there yet. I still got a bunch more that haven't happened yet. But I think, like, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. Like, I'm not excited for my picks anymore. I'm excited to see what's the weirdest trade I could do to get into a draft. I'm excited to see how, like, I'm playing chicken with myself and how late of a pick I'm willing to trade Keenan Allen for, because nobody wants Keenan Allen. It's ridiculous. Nope. And I have a team where, it's cartoon do-gooders. Like, I've come in second place 2 years in a row. Very hurtful. And I still have a pretty strong team, except my older players are not as good as my younger players. So I'm like, maybe I should push towards youth a little bit. Plus, Pete Law has like 18 firsts this year and 18 next year. Don't do that math because it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So he's building a juggernaut. It's going to happen. So I'm trying to like skew myself a little towards the younger and good side, as opposed to Keenan Allen, who should be good for the next few years, but who knows what he's going to be worth if you can't get a first for him right now. So I'm kind of playing the value game a little to try and big picture my wins, if that makes sense. It made sense in my head, and that's all that really matters, because I'm just talking for myself most of the time anyway. 106, it didn't work so far. And Pete has the 108, 109, 111, and 112.
And he's not trading for Keenan Allen.
And he's not trading for Keenan Allen, so I'm pretty screwed on that one. And I love me some T. Higgins, but let's face it, I am not trading Keenan Allen for T. Higgins.
Yeah,
and that's
sure.
I mean, at that point, I'm at the 112. I mean, that's Ruggs, Pittman, Higgins. I mean, Rager probably won't be there anymore. Like, if I for some reason just was in pure DGAF mode, I think honestly, Higgins is like my deadline, where I would be like, maybe if I'm bored and my team is bad and I have Keenan Allen, I might do Keenan for Rager. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'd want a little more just to make me feel a little okay about it, but I think I would still do it.
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
Is there a rookie? So you've had a bunch of rookie drafts. Is there a rookie that you have yet to get a share of that you are like jonesing about?
No. Let's see. Okay, without being 100% accurate, because I don't even know what leagues have drafted, no less who I drafted in which league. I don't think I have any JT shares.
I don't either. It's bugging me. That's bugging me.
Because I didn't have any. Okay, because me and you, we're the QBs 101, 102. And any league where I had the 103, he went before me anyway. So I have 0 shares. I have 1 Clyde Edwards-Helaire share. I think I have 1 Dobbins share, a couple of Akers, 1 Tua, Burrow. Yeah, I think I have all the top guys except for JT, who I would like, but I am not going to spend what it's going to take. I put a tweet. I tweeted about this at some point throughout the past week. Like, these players, these rookie picks, these rookies are being held in regards and value that there is 0% chance they will not be top 10. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's ridiculous. But that's that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I think it's fun just to see if I can actually get into a draft at a price I think is close to fair. Like, to me right now, trading in and trading out is more fun than actually just like, oh, 203 is on the clock, let me go draft. Because, oh man, seriously, I said it last week, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it every week for the rest of my life. If T. Higgins busts, I'm screwed. I mean, not really, just because it was the 203 or around that area, but still, he is probably my most owned player already. And so, he has not played a snap.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I mean, I have a lot of Higgins. I have a ton of Joe Burrow. I was able to I earned the 101 in do-gooders.
Yep.
But a couple leagues, I think I have him in 4 leagues already. Of the leagues I've drafted in, I positioned myself to move up to get him in a couple of leagues, and so I'm kind of in the same boat. Actually, that. And I think we're going to talk about this later if I remember correctly, but that's something that I've been doing too is stacking Burrow with T. Higgins. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but yeah, so I'm with you. I mean, there are certain. It seems like the other guy that I have more share. I think literally I have as many shares of Quintez Cephas as I do Saquon Barkley across my leagues. I'm dead serious. Like I have
one was a little easier to obtain.
Yeah, of course. But I just always end up with Cephas in my leagues. It's when I'm drafting like in the late 4th round or in Trade Addicts, whichever one's going right now. I don't know which one's going right now, 2 or 3 or something. I didn't have a pick till like the 5th round. So like at 504 or something like that, I took him. I just have a ton of shares. So now the capital there isn't significant, so I'm not overly concerned about him busting. Chances are he could very well. But there's a couple guys, Higgins included, Burrow included, that I have a bunch of shares on too. And if they do bust, in Burrow, where you're taking him, right? I mean, you're taking him 1, or you're not typically getting him in Superflex.
Man, I'm telling you, he does not. Oh man, what was it? I think it was 5. He fell to like 106. So like he is absolutely not 101, probably not even 102 in our ADP anymore.
Yeah, which is kind of gross.
Man, like again, we are treating Jonathan Taylor and Clyde Edwards-Helaire like they are superstars already. Yes. And they are not going to miss, and they are going to have long, fruitful careers.
Yeah. Yeah. Ask James Catullus about Jonathan Taylor versus Saquon Barkley.
Well, we know he's a JT guy. He's a Wisconsin guy. That's not his fault. It's I don't know what it is. It's a defect, I guess. No, but let's talk about James and Jonathan Taylor for a second. I give the man respect because he was willing to buy a Steelers jersey if that's what it came to.
Yeah.
Just saying that means a lot. Like,
it does.
Let's say Saquon went to that purple and gold.
No. Hell no. No. There were like 6 or 7 teams that I had on the list.
Okay, let's hear them.
Cleveland, Baltimore, Cincy.
Okay, obvious.
Raiders, Cowboys.
Okay. Yeah.
Patriots.
Yeah.
Although I probably would have broken down there.
No, at least then he'd get a ring, right?
You're right. So, who else? I think I said Eagles at the time, but I would have bought one already.
Wait, speaking of Eagles,
I think that's it. Oh, there he is.
I know you're a Cowboys fan. I don't care, but you're from the Philly area, and I used it because I had it. Hey everybody, welcome Josh at Real Fantasy TL, one of the hosts of the Fantasy Timeline, a member of the Dynasty Addicts podcast network. Say hi.
Hey fellas, it's a very awesome sentence to hear.
Dude, I'm so jealous of how lounged he looks right now. Like
he looks real lounge.
He is straight up in a lazy boy.
Yes, I am.
Back, having a good time.
Yes, I'm
jealous. Whew, okay.
Oh man.
So who's your favorite player in the league right now, Josh?
Oh God, that's such a tough question.
Okay, I don't care anymore. You're a CeeDee Lamb guy, right?
Love CeeDee Lamb.
Let's say you're such a CeeDee Lamb diehard that you were going to buy his jersey if he went into the NFL.
Yes.
What teams would he have to land on for you to not have then bought his jersey?
The Philadelphia Eagles.
That's it?
And the Redskins. That's about it.
So you're fine with the Giants?
Yeah, I mean, they need all the help they can
That's
get.
just a whatever, Giants.
Oh.
Love it. Dismissal is wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, who's on that team anyway?
I don't know.
Are you kidding me? I will. I swear to gosh, if this turns into,
I told you it wouldn't be me.
If tonight turns into Saquon Barkley bashing night, you all are gonna have hell to pay.
I mean, he was a good player for the 8 weeks he played last year.
I need another beer.
Here's my thing. From my birth of real sports fandom, which I attribute to hockey, I was a Devils fan. And as a Devils fan, you're supposed to hate the Rangers, supposed to hate the Flyers just because they're in the division and all that stuff.
Yep.
I never cared enough. Like, if you go to a Devils game, they are a-holes.
Yes,
people in the stands. In the middle of nowhere, they just start chanting Rangers suck and a lot of dirty things about the other teams that follow. It is horrible. It is pointless. It is just dumb. That was never instilled in me. Like, I never hated a team just because they're in the same division. I'm a Seahawks fan. I don't hate the Niners, which makes it so much more fun that I have a Niners fan who hates the Seahawks, a friend who's a Niners fan. Like, tattoo on his leg and everything, despises the Seahawks just for being the Seahawks, and it's great. But it's not my thing. And he was a huge DK Metcalf guy, and then he went to the Seahawks, and I'm just like,
oh,
my brother, how's it going, bud? And he's like, shut up. Oh my god.
Oh man.
See, but like, I don't have a guy that's in, like, if T. Higgins went to the Niners for 3 seconds, be like, oh, come on, he had to, yeah, whatever, I don't care, let's go Higgins. Like, I guess it's not instilled in me. Like, I'd be a little upset because I don't think their jerseys are anything special if I was a jersey on the wall kind of guy,
right?
But yeah, I don't think, maybe it's because, like, hockey jerseys, like, to me, owning hockey jerseys was about fashion. It was about, like, collecting. Yeah. Like, I was a diehard Devils fan. I had like 14 different teams jerseys. Same just because they were fun.
I mean, I have a bunch of NFL jerseys. I mean,
speaking of fun,
look at this.
Speaking of fun, Bill, super duper flex. I don't know. I was about to be like the real host, or, you know,
I am not the real host.
I was going to try and create some conflict of sorts, and then I lost the pizzazz for it. But the other co-host of Real Fantasy Timeline, no, your Real Fantasy Timeline, co-host of the Fantasy Timeline. You're confusing me, Josh. So hey, Bill, what's up, man?
What's going on, fellas?
They're trying to kill me here, Bill, with the
I saw that. Match. Yeah, I was listening. I was hanging out in the chat for a minute, so I caught some of that. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've tried really hard to be a nice guy to everybody, and everybody just wants to keep poking the Wildcat. You know?
I mean,
the problem is the Wildcat is not a nice guy. Brian Harr,
what?
Nice guy. The Wildcat, he doesn't mess around.
Yeah, I guess you guys are kind of privy to, like, private chats for the network and stuff. So that, that other side does come out occasionally.
Hey, man,
I dig it.
It is wide out in the open for the world to see when that switch flips, and the Meatloaf Wildcat comes out.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I feel like we need to do the open bar thing and have a shout out to the chat, right? Because now we have 2 chats, which just makes me feel super baller. Makes us feel super baller, because we are on YouTube and on Periscope. So hey, everybody. Hey, look, Super Dupaflex is in the chat. Hey, look at that. What a good guy that guy is. Yay. But Savi's there, FF Psychic, J Money Jarrett. Man, that guy likes polls. Mike McKinnon. Just saying hi to everybody. You know, keep that chat going. We had a question up top from LFC for LifeNet. I don't know what that means.
Liverpool.
What?
LFC.
Liverpool Football Club. Gotcha. All right, wrong football. In a Superflex dynasty, how many QBs drafted is too many? I feel like that is now a John Hogue burner account. It's weird though. Like I see people actually. I give a default answer when people actually answer this question. There's a fine line between doing the smart thing, drafting for value, and just pissing off your league. But the real answer is if they're dumb enough to not draft quarterbacks, keep drafting quarterbacks.
Exactly.
And the thing is, the hard part with that is you have to then be patient. Let them come to you. Because the thing is, you're probably man, especially if you're crazy like we are, drafting in February. Yeah. Nobody cares about starting lineups. August is hit.
That is not true.
Okay, you shouldn't care about starting lineups.
Thank you. That is correct. That is correct.
I do still argue with a lot of people about that. So I apologize for putting my values on all of you. That is not something I set out to do. I was wrong. I apologize. You should not be worrying about your starting lineups in May, no less February. So no one's going to be like, dude, what did I do? Plus, they won't know, because if they don't know in the first place, they're not going to realize it until they're losing games. So if you're sitting there with 6 quarterbacks, even if 1 or 2 of them are backups, you're still pretty fire for week 2, when all of a sudden it's like, whoa, everyone who has 2 quarterbacks is just rocketed and I am screwed. So that's when you just
Russ, what is it that you always say? You draft for value, you trade for need. And that's what it is in a startup. Like, I don't care if I come out there, like you said, with 6 quarterbacks and maybe I'm weak at running back or I'm weak at wide receiver. At some point, someone's going to come and I'm going to make up that value somewhere else.
Sorry, I just realized that I forgot that I could actually put the comments. I'm not used to having comments or anything. So I just realized I could put it up on the screen. So I had to scroll and find it, because now I just feel even more baller that we have like a question up on there. No, you're absolutely right. And the thing it comes down to is do what's right for you. Do what's right for your team. Is there so much thing as too many quarterbacks? Absolutely not, because they are king. And the cheapest you'll ever get them are in drafts. And especially these rookie drafts, because like we were talking about before, man, we've been getting Burrow and Tua at like 106 and 108, and that's just ridiculous.
Yep.
Whew. You're right, man. My ears are getting kind of warm, especially when I start ranting a little bit. like my body gets a little heated, and
That's menopause, Russ.
The change.
Going through the change, guys.
Menopause.
Menopause. There you go.
Okay, but you alluded, Brian, alluded to this at one point. So I want to talk about this because I was thinking about it. At JPip6, I was wondering if you could touch on stacking. I recently drafted CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and already have Kelsey and Hill. Should I try to diversify from having so many Chiefs? Should I have moved Clyde Edwards-Helaire down my board with 2 Chiefs already? Let's hit the rewind button for about 45 seconds to when our main man, Josh, was quoting me. What did you say, Josh?
You draft for value, you trade for need.
Don't change your board for what your team looks like. The only time that's ever okay, like there's that big tier at the first few picks of the second where it's like Higgins, Pittman, Mims, Vaughn. It's really just them 4, I think, really. Like, to me, Higgins is first there. Some people have Mims, whatever, regardless. But, like, say they're, like, all dead even for you. They're all the same value. They're all the same talent. But you're like, all right, yeah, I have absolutely nobody at running back. Okay, maybe then you take Vaughn. I still don't think you should be drafting for your team need in a rookie draft, because you should never be expecting rookies to produce, especially outside of top 3-ish. But yeah, that's when it's okay to change your boards a little. But in a situation like this, I would absolutely not change my draft board. But to the original question, Brian, should he be worried about owning 3 Chiefs on his team?
I mean, I think it's a good idea to keep an eye on it. I think with an offense that high-powered and a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, I don't necessarily think it's like, I'm not concerned about that. I mean, if it was, you know, Dak and Amari and Zeke and no offense, Josh, I'm not doing this because you're a Cowboys fan.
Yes,
I promise I'm not. No, I promise I'm not. It's just a different situation. I mean, that offense is far and away perceived as the best offense in the National Football League. So, I'm not overly concerned about it. Now, here's what I'd say though: if there's an opportunity for you to move one of those guys for equal value, sure. I mean, I would move Tyreek Hill right away because I don't like risk, and I believe that he's a risky player. I'm risk averse, so I would probably try to trade Tyreek Hill for another wide receiver in the same tier, or even a running back in the same tier, depending on how my team was built. Or a running back a tier down and a wide receiver a tier down, or something like that. So I don't hate the idea of diversifying away from Kansas City Chiefs players, but I also don't think you have to make a move if you feel comfortable with all of those players on your team.
Hey, Dustin at Dynasty Junkie, co-host of the Dynasty Junkies. How do you feel about having multiple players from the same team on your Dynasty team?
It doesn't really bother me. I like having the quarterback wide receiver stack. I don't care if I have a running back and wide receiver from the same team. I just don't like having two of the same position from the same team. I don't like having two wide receivers usually, but it doesn't usually bother me. Like it is what it is. I can plan around it. I want the points in my lineup more than anything.
All right. I don't know if you actually heard the beginning of the question, but this guy has Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and then ended up drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Oh, I don't hate that at all. I love that actually.
It's funny. Like he chose
amazing.
the one team where we're all just like, no, that's fine. No,
that sounds fantastic.
Can you get Mahomes? Just go for it.
Yeah. I don't hate that at all. That would be amazing.
Yeah, right. Again, it really comes down to the team. If you're like, I'm completely blanking on one of those teams that are just like the slowest team in the league. But I wouldn't want DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett on my team. How about that? Because the Seahawks don't throw that much. But yeah, these guys, absolutely, go for it, rock and roll. Oh wait, now I have to scroll all the way back up to hide that question. I mean, our chat's booming. That's going to take for like. Sorry, I'm adjusting to this new life.
It's all good.
So Dustin.
So Russ.
You need to tell me the truth. I'm getting ready to console myself if the answer doesn't go the way I want. I know you should never ask a question that you don't want to actually hear the answer to.
I'm nervous.
Who is the better guest, me or Brian?
Oh.
This is awful. My internet's going out. I can't. What?
No, I mean, I didn't have a chance to listen to the second episode yet, and we already started busting his balls on Saquon Barkley. So I just, I figured I'd bring up that, hey, everybody go listen to the Dynasty Junkies. I was the first guest and Brian was the second guest, which means you at least know those first two episodes were awesome.
Oh, yeah, and we're getting Bill and Josh on there here soon, too. We're going to get the whole DAP network on there.
Oh, man, so it's going to be like 3 good guests and then me. That's cool, though.
I didn't say which order.
No, it doesn't. Like, hey, man, everybody has their place. Just you're the bad guy that makes everyone else look good. We appreciate that. That's the role you play for our network. I
will play it well.
Hey, Dustin, I gave Josh a shout out in the middle of the episode.
He did.
And didn't we talk about this on the show with Russ? Because Russ always is the first guest, always when they're asking a trade. Yeah, but
listen, Mister shaking my head because I kept pushing Russ back and had Shane on my show before.
Listen,
we were able to schedule something. I see you, Bill.
So part of it too is like, hey, as soon as you get going, here,
100%.
And I'm not like that.
I absolutely am. I call dibs on first guest the second someone says they're starting a podcast.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I will say Brian is all the drops in the intro, so I mean he's going to be heard more on our show.
Yes,
than Russ will.
He'll be heard more. I'll be felt more.
Yeah.
You know that.
I don't even know what that means.
That gross feeling when you feel like your testicles are up in your throat. That's what the feeling is going to be.
I don't know. Brian brought a little bit more fire. He was a little bit more energetic. Like he got kind of heated on the episode.
They brought out the Wildcat.
Oh.
Well, I mean,
That's
our
about
first two shows had us trading Saquon in our Find Me a Trade section. So both episodes had us giving away Saquon on the teams.
Blasphemous.
I really want this guy to
that
try it. First guy didn't.
If you bring up a Giants running back, Meatloaf Wildcat comes out, he's ready to roar. I mean,
Those
he's
Wayne
an okay
Gallman
running
takes,
back
right?
and everything.
So I want to do something real quick here. So I just saw this question. Bob,
Yeah,
you're listening to the
do
show
it.
live. Go smash accept
Yes.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
leave right now.
Prescott
And
easily.
Yeah, I've been meaning to like pop in and just respond to that because I'm like, my God, we're letting this sit way too long. Just go snap accept that.
All right.
Yes.
So people listening and not actually watching right now, the Bob Miller put a question to us. Superflex Dynasty was just offered Dak Prescott for Drew Brees and Leonard Fournette. Thoughts? I
would just
apologize
send a
for
second
not
back with it.
screaming right away and saying, just go hit accept and we'll talk about it in a minute.
The only time I only think like if it's an 8 team or a 10 team, that's the only time I might question it
Oh, I
slightly.
think I do that anyway.
But
But-
like 10 team, I think I'm still doing it.
Yeah, easily.
Bill,
0.25
Bob
points per
Miller-
carry. That's probably
Yeah.
the only league that would make me think about it.
The Bob Miller needs to hit the accept button and get this done.
Bam. That's how you host a show. Nice one, Josh. I like that.
That's what he brings.
Yeah, not fantasy knowledge. That's all, Bill. I just come with the good one-liners. Hello.
Hey, that's all you got to do, and that's why people remember you. Just say dumb shit, and they got you.
I have so many comments right now, but I'm not. No, we're not going there.
It's because I haven't gotten the Wildcat out yet. We'll get you there.
Jason, I can tell you my worst trade right now. In the
Okay,
chat.
so let's throw it on here. Bam! I can hit a button. Jason Haggerty, your best/worst trades. All right, hit it, Bill.
I traded Kareem Hunt right before he blew up for I already forgot his name from Green Bay, the old wide receiver, Jordy Nelson.
Jordy.
Yeah. And then the next
wasn't probably terrible.
Same league, I traded. It's a 2 tight end league, and I traded Chubb his rookie year and Ebron for Gronk, and that's when Ebron blew up. And of course, we know Chubb blew up, and then we know what happened to Gronk.
Yeah, that one that beats that one. That's definitely the worst one.
I can make it worse.
Okay, go ahead. Then I'll do mine.
On Trade Addicts 101, I talked about this, but I traded Todd Gurley for Ty Montgomery.
Yeah, that's bad.
awful.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got
that
mine
was-
beat.
That was when Ty Montgomery would put up like 3 straight 30-point games at the beginning of the season. And at the time, I was only listening to the Footballers. They were the only podcast out, and they were like, sell Gurley. Like, you can't keep this up. So I found some guy that wanted Gurley, and he gave me Ty Montgomery, and I felt great about it.
As long as you're happy, that's all we really care about.
It was
That's what matters.
short-lived happiness.
Yeah, it was like a week.
After his sophomore season, I traded Stephon Diggs for Jay Ajayi. After Jay Ajayi ended the season with like those 4 200-yard games.
Oh.
I think
yeah.
I made a trade then too. I just don't remember what it was, but I remember buying him at that point as well.
I think Russ is... Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I traded Devontae Adams for the 106 in a league. It ended up being Baker, but still.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hurts.
And that was like
Should have been on that train earlier, Brian.
that was
I tried.
before that was right before he put up he had never put up 1,000-yard season. Remember when I used to to like pound the table about that? Like, well, he's never even put up 1,000-yard season.
Only scores 40 touchdowns.
Yeah. That was pretty bad.
And that's when Brian realized he should just listen to me from now on.
So what you were talking... Oh, you got one there, Josh?
I mean, I have one. It actually happened this year. I did the outhouse challenge and just allowed people to decide on whether or not they would accept trades that were offered to me. And in a 16-team superflex, ended up with Mitch Trubisky. And now my 2 quarterbacks in that league are Tom Brady and Mitch Trubisky. So I've been frantically trying to find a quarterback, and nobody will sell one. So that's fun.
What'd you have to give up?
It was I got Mitch Trubisky and Devontae Adams, and I gave up Matt Stafford. And God, I don't even like Mitch Trubisky just traumatized me. I can't even remember the wide receiver I gave up in that deal. But let me see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah, see, those were so much fun because that's when you really found out who the smart people that you play with are.
Oh yeah.
What, just in case you don't know what Josh was talking about, one day I got super bored and I was just like, all right, here's what we're doing, Twitter. If you're in a league with me, propose a trade, I will put the poll on Twitter. If the side you are offering me wins the poll, I'll accept the trade. And I got over 100 offers. I didn't poll all of them because some of them were just frickin' atrocious. And I don't think they understood the point of what we were doing. That's the side they're offering is supposed to actually win. Like that's the point of this. But there was a couple of smart people because I lost every AJ Green share. I gained I lost all of my 2020 firsts because even though they were worth a lot, it was still at that when I did it, it was like a full year out. So all the smart people that knew what this class was going to be lost all of that.
Mhm.
So like, oh man, like, but then there was just some people that were just offering stuff that was just like ridiculously silly. So yeah, no, that guy going after Stafford was smart because Stafford will never get the value, the respect he deserves.
So the wide receiver that I ended up trading, and that was Michael Gallup, who I'm like one of his biggest fans. So
he's gonna be buried for a year. You'll buy him back in a year for cheaper anyway.
Yeah, and then like you said with draft picks, Shane Manila got me. I ended up trading the 110 this year for a first, second, third, and fourth in a 16-team superflex. So pretty much those second through fourth round picks are worthless unless something crazy happens.
So
I forgot that draft
what do you
even
learn from that? Like, do you just never do it again, or do you do something differently about it?
Oh no, that is what it is. Like that's the whole point of it.
Like, do you include more information? Because I know Josh didn't put that it was a 16-team league or a superflex league.
No, I think I did. I think I did. Well, let me find.
I've learned a long time ago that if you were doing a superflex poll, it is all capital letters with, yes, Brian, I see Rocky's there, but I'm in the middle of a sentence, so I'll talk about him when I'm done.
Rocky P from Philly.
Thank you.
The one and only.
I didn't get that intro. Russ, you were better on our show.
You ripped Saquon apart. So did Rocky, though. So everybody's, yeah.
So, yes, if you're ever running a poll on Twitter and it's Superflex, all capital letters, and I put like 6 asterisks on each side of the word Superflex. Draw the eyes to that word. It's the best you could do because you're lucky if people read in the first place. So if there's something like Superflex, just putting SF isn't going to get the job done.
Right. And that might have been what happened, Josh, is I think you just put SF.
Yeah, I did.
And, you know, and those actually, if it's that important, I'd put Superflex as one of the options in the poll because, you know, people are going to read that. So, like, you know, at least it's down at the bottom where people are clicking.
It's just Superflex side A, Superflex side B, just everywhere you can. Fill up all 280 with Superflex and then subtract the letters you need to actually type the players. But okay, as Brian wanted me so much to do, our family is now complete on this stream. Rocky at Dynasty FF Addict is here, host of the Dynasty Junkies. My brain froze because I'm like, wait, his, yeah, you really did just try and make it hard on us creating a podcast with your freaking tag, your
handle.
That's the word. Thank you. As the freaking name. But hey, Rocky, how's it going?
Good. What's up, guys?
All right, you need to get way closer to your mic, man.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
That better.
Need to get that boom.
I know. You can tell I'm new at this. I envy Brian and Russ's setup there with the little the boom and everything. Yeah.
Really, the only reason that I have the arm is so that I can do some dances and stuff when trades go through during the show.
He has literally never done that before, and I've been thankful to this moment that he's never done that before.
Bro, I can bust a move.
I'm sure you can, just no one ever wants to see it. But we started the show talking about how I feel like a baller right now because I got my new big headphone things going on. I got the arm going, so like I feel like I have the full setup now. Now I just I don't want to do that.
Better than the earbuds.
Remember when you used to do that to me every freaking show, Brian?
I do.
I've missed it actually.
You've gotten polite.
Well,
and
I've just been cutting back on
The
letting loose because it's a live show.
No,
Oh,
I'm
no.
doing it tonight.
Yeah.
Letting loose. Yeah.
Get my water, which is actually water.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right, so now that we have a full pantheon of brilliant dynasty minds, let's get to our next listener question. At the Casey Kasem, if you had to pick one player at this very moment that had to be on every one of your dynasty leagues, and you could never get rid of him until he retired, meaning no dropping, even if he starts sucking, no trading, nothing, who would it be? And yep, no trading. What the actual F? Which A, thank you for Casey for acknowledging the just ridiculousness of your question. Yes, Brian, your answer is Saquon Barkley. We know. You could stop waving your hand around.
And maybe it wasn't going to be, though.
Was it?
It probably was. It probably was.
So we're going to start with Josh because we're just skipping over Brian for now because I can't handle Brian at the moment. Who's a player right now that you would want on every single one of your teams? And let's not cheat and say like Julio Jones because he's towards the end of his career. He's still awesome. And you can't trade him for anything anyway, even if you wanted to. So who's a player on your team you think you will be happy he's on your team and will give you, a good stretch of production and won't just drop off a cliff, let's just say?
This is a homer pick, but since I only play in Superflex, I'd go Dak Prescott. I mean, they are just building a team in Dallas to allow him to throw the ball 600 times a year. And I mean, he produced. He was QB3 last year, QB4.
I believe 3, yeah.
And I think that as long as, Jason Garrett's not there holding him back, I think he can produce that in many, many more seasons to come. So that's my guy, Dak Prescott.
Does it worry you that he is kind of taking that same route as Kirk Cousins and that he may end up not being with Dallas in 2 years?
Yep. Look at that. So good. I was going to ask that question. I didn't even have to. That's why you should listen to all the shows on the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network.
Sorry, Russ.
No, thank you. You did good.
Here's the thing. I hear everyone say, he's going the Kirk Cousins route and this and that, but he hasn't actually signed that franchise tag yet. And I think this is going to end up a lot like the Ezekiel Elliott situation where it comes down to the wire and Jerry finally caves, gives Dak what he wants, and a deal signed. Because at this point, if Jerry doesn't have Dak, what does he have? What is he going to put out there at quarterback?
Andy Dalton, baby.
Cam Newton.
That red rifle out there.
Stop with Cam Newton. Get out of here. Carolina didn't even want Cam Newton. I don't think Jerry is going to bring him in. But I think that's how it's going to end up. And even if he gets franchised this year, I can't imagine Jerry letting it go one more year. So yeah, I'm not worried about that in May.
I think Jerry needs to shut up and pay Dak Prescott is what needs to happen here.
Agreed.
I mean, they have not won playoff game in a quarter of a century. 24 years it's been since they won a playoff game. 20?
No, they won a couple years ago against the Seahawks.
No, they didn't. Nobody recognizes that.
Nobody recognizes that.
Maybe you recognize
Nobody
that.
recognizes that.
Look,
nobody recognizes that.
Reality is what I make it, okay? And Google just told me that it was 24 years ago. So you can sit in your recliner chair and just enjoy it. Okay, so they won one playoff game. in the last 24 years. Is that more accurate?
No, because they won in the early 2010s against the Eagles.
Okay, so they've won 2 playoff games in 24 years.
Playoff games.
They need to sign Dak Prescott.
Agreed.
They've been screwing around with
Can
Tony
they do that anymore
Romo
this year?
and can they what?
Like, how could they do that this year? They don't.
They
have the money
need to
that
do it
anymore.
right now before the
How?
cap number changes. Yes. Because I'm telling you, this pandemic thing's going to change things when it comes to money. I was watching TV today. It's like I was working too, but I was watching TV in between, and they're talking about what the Chiefs are going to end up paying Patrick Mahomes, and that it wouldn't be surprising for him to get $50 million a year. But the reality is with all the stuff that's going on with this pandemic, the cap probably isn't going up by $10 million like it's been, right? I mean, if anything, we'd be lucky if it stays the same. I think, so, I mean, it's beneficial for teams to get these guys signed. It's beneficial for everybody. Teams, well, maybe it's not beneficial for teams. Not beneficial for the player, for sure, to wait. I mean, these guys should, so if Dak dips to whatever because of the pandemic. And here's the thing too, if the pandemic doesn't happen, right, and Patrick Mahomes gets $50 million, you're telling me Dak Prescott isn't worth 40 with the way that
Dak Prescott thought he was worth pretty much that anyway. Didn't
right,
he turn down 30,
right? But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you were looking at this, so screw the pandemic, and you're looking at this, and Patrick Mahomes is going to make $50 million a year, right? Then where does that Russell Wilson, I think, has the highest right now. It's 35 a year. So, I mean, so does it not make sense that Dak Prescott, who is, I mean, probably one of the best 5 quarterbacks in the league, kind of, maybe, right? Look, if you're going to pay Matthew Stafford as the highest quarterback, and look, I love Matthew Stafford, and especially from a fantasy perspective, but if you're going to pay that guy and some of these other guys that you're paying them based on their like potential over the next couple of years because they might have shown like a little bit of a glimpse. Dak Prescott's shown more than a little bit of a glimpse to me. I mean, he's been a stud. So I mean, with the exception of what, 8 or 9 games without Zeke Elliott in that year, I mean, he's been good. So
Jared
to me,
Goff's making $33.5 million. I mean,
who?
Jared Goff is making $33.5 million this year.
You tell me Dak Prescott isn't worth more than Jared Goff? He absolutely is. Right. And I know, Josh, you agree with me. I know you do.
Yeah, that's why I didn't even have to say anything, because it's just a statement of fact.
Okay, so let's move on. Bill, if you could have one player on all of your dynasty teams for the rest of their career, who would it be?
I think it'd be Mahomes. That's pretty easy for me because I know he's going to have a decade of top 12 finishes at quarterback. So, yeah, it's like having Aaron Rodgers throughout his career, and I'm more than happy with having him.
My name's Bill, and I take the easy way out. Dustin, who would you want on your team for the rest of their career?
Well, I was going to take the easy way out, but now that Bill did, I'm going to go Homer. I'm going to go Homer pick, and I'm going to keep DK Metcalf. I think he's going to be a beast. Even though Seattle doesn't throw a ton, I'm going Homer. I got him cheap everywhere last year, and now everyone wants to pay up for him, and I'm holding all my shares.
See, here's my thing. I love DK Metcalf because he does the things I thought I wanted AJ Brown for. Like, there was pretty much like a thing going around before last year's draft that was saying that AJ Brown was pretty much like, they would just say, okay, AJ, go get open. Like he didn't have to run routes. It was just like, read the zone, go do what you got to do. And that's why I'm like, oh my God, this guy needs to be with Russell Wilson, because every play is a broken down scatter play. And that's exactly what Russell Wilson needs. But the thing is, at the end of the season, DK was kind of doing that also. You know, it started out from that two route tree, and he learned more. He did more, but also he was the go-to guy whenever the plays broke down. So yeah, that is why like if I had to choose right now one receiver on Seattle to own, it would be DK Metcalf, because that's the guy you need on your team. The guy Russell Wilson will look for when stuff went down. That's why Baldwin was so awesome.
Yep. Well, that and Lockett's not worth anything right now, anyways, if you try to sell him. But DK's just so young, he's going to grow so much in that offense that he's going to be the guy.
And let's face it, that dude's young. He might still physically be growing as a human being. And that's insane. No, so I love that answer because it wasn't a quarterback, which is just super freaking easy. And because, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Yeah. Rocky, who do you want?
So I'm not going.
Let me guess, Carson Wentz.
No, I'm not going Homer.
I've decided.
And I'm not going the obvious answer. Mine would be DJ Moore. I already have tons of shares of the guy. I love the guy. We've already seen him almost in his worst case situation with Kyle Allen throwing to him most of the year last year, and he's still pretty much balled out. So I think he's still got room to go up. I can see him being a first round startup pick within a year. So and he's just, like I said, we've already seen him in his worst case. I'll own him for the next 10 years and be happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's so freaking perfect because everyone loved DJ Moore. Everyone hate that. Sorry. So many people love DJ Moore coming out, and his situation was a little weird in the beginning with, Cam getting hurt and all of that stuff. And now people are like worried because of Teddy Bridgewater being there. Like, we get it. We love the story of Teddy Bridgewater so much more than the player Teddy Bridgewater. But like, in what reality is Teddy Bridgewater worse than Kyle Allen?
Exactly. I was just going to say, I'm not happy with Teddy, but yeah, he's still 10 times the quarterback that Kyle Allen is.
Right. And like, if anything, Teddy's a game manager. Teddy doesn't throw a deep ball, which is all the better for DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey. So no, I think that's an awesome answer. John McGlynn in the chat, Dark Horse, Cortland Sutton. I love Cortland Sutton. I've from the second I read this question, I went through all the young wide receivers that I have on most of my teams already anyway. Calvin Ridley, Cortland Sutton, Allen Robinson. And like, I'm sitting there trying to figure out who I would really want. Tyler Boyd. And, I stop and I think about it. And now that everyone's gone quarterback and wide receivers already.
Well, I haven't given my guy yet. So
because nobody, whatever.
It's not Saquon. It's not Saquon. So I'll do mine next. So keep going.
No, go ahead, Brian. Who's your guy?
My guy's Michael Thomas. If it's not a quarterback, if I'm not going Patrick Mahomes, which is definitely the right answer here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Michael Thomas.
Super young. I mean, showed he's doesn't need Drew Brees.
He's 27 years old. He's quarterback proof. He can play in the slot, which will extend his career.
And like, imagine if like Jameis did take over. Like, oh my God, that guy slinging to Michael Thomas.
And he's a tank. I mean, he's a big dude. So it's like, it's not, it's Julio just 4 years younger.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so mine's a nice jump off of yours because I'm going to stick on the same team. Alvin Kamara is never going to run out of work. Like, because I knew everyone was going quarterback and wide receiver, so I tried to find a running back I thought could last for another 5-6 years, even though he's been in the league for a little bit already. Alvin Kamara is still a top 5 dynasty running back, and I didn't really think that out loud before I really said it. And I'm still I'm not going to sit here and think about it. And I didn't pull the DLF ADP up before I started talking. But 2 years goes by. He's on his he's a year into his second contract already. Drew Brees is gone. Everyone's going to start worrying about him. That dude's still catching passes in the backfield from somebody. I mean, he's still a slick runner. He's like, and he can be a journeyman after, no one wants to pay him that money anymore. Like, if James White goes to another team, James White's still going to find a way to be a running back 2 somewhere. Except Alvin Kamara is hell more talented than James White. So to me, I wanted to try and take this in a direction that would just seem not like me. And going running back, I think, is absolutely not like me.
The dude that hates running backs is the only one to pick a running back.
Yeah.
And we have Brian here, and he doesn't pick a running back.
Oh, I mean, it's just because he was absolutely going to pick Saquon Barkley. We just gave him so much crap he had to pick someone else. Love you, Brian.
Longevity.
No, absolutely. Like the right answer is Mahomes. The right answer for wide receiver. I mean, we had a couple of good ones. But I mean, like, if all of my leagues were like the Trade Addicts leagues where you only have to start one of every position, I would be fine with Alvin Kamara for the rest of his career. Because I'm sure sooner or later he'll decline and I'll find another running back somewhere. But like, I will always be fine having him as a bye-week fill-in or a low-end flex. Like, he will always catch a couple of balls every game.
Yep.
So I just wanted to take this in a different direction, just to have a little bit of a fun thinking exercise.
I like it.
So speaking of fun thinking exercises, we want to do some Trade Addicts trades, Brian?
Trade Addicts trades.
There really weren't many. There were a couple of trades still that were, because like I explained on the last show, we spaced out all of the rookie drafts for the Trade Addicts leagues. So with more rookie drafts going on, a lot of the trades were still picks for picks, low-end players for low-end draft picks, and that's just not what we're talking to. But we had two picks that I wanted to talk about, one because it was mine, and the other because I actually thought it was interesting. So Trade Addicts leagues, 12 teams, super flex, PPR, tight end premium, where it's 1.75 points per reception for tight ends, important, and 0.05 points for return yardage, not important. So this first one is Trade Addicts Dose. Mike Evans for Tyler Boyd and Zach Ertz. Now, it's probably obvious which side I am on this one, but Bill hasn't talked in a little bit. Bill, what do you think about this trade?
I like the Ertz side. I like that with the 1.75, and I don't even know who else was in it. No, I mean, I think Mike Evans is fantastic, but I just like having those two good pieces. And I mean, there's a lot of flex in those leagues, so I'd rather have a little bit of depth. And I'm just not sure how Evans is gonna do with the new quarterback and all that.
Eagles fan.
I guess it would be me.
Should I should say, because clearly I traded for Tyler Boyd. I've been trying to get Boyd off of Mello for months. And I finally just like, no, this is going to happen. So I know he would take Evans. Is Goddard a thing? Am I worried about Zach Ertz right now?
I'm sorry, my connection got a little wonky there. What'd you say?
Should I be worried about Zach Ertz right now? You being an Eagles fan, like, is Dallas Goedert taking over? Is Jalen Reagor coming in, giving an actual? Because beginning of last year, Ertz wasn't getting a lot of targets. Then all of a sudden, everyone died, and Ertz was getting 18 a game again. Should we be worried about Zach Ertz this year?
I don't think so. No. I can't remember if they actually did, but I know they were talking about extending him or restructuring him to keep him here longer. I'm not worried about him this year. I think he's still good. He's always been Wentz's favorite target, and I'm not sure through Goddard's rookie contract if I think he's still going to be here. And you know, Rager's going to take some time to get up to speed, especially with the lack of an off season we're probably looking at. So I think you're still going to. I think you're see plenty of Goddard too, actually. But I think Ertz and Goddard and Sanders are going to see a lot of work in the passing game still. So I'm not worried about Ertz for this year or probably even next year. After that, maybe.
Nice.
Yeah, they exercised his 2021 deal already, so he's there for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
And remember 2 years ago when we were saying go buy Goddard because Ertz is going to be gone? Like, I just we especially with the Eagles, like, I feel like we just have to stop that. Like, by the time someone gets up to the year before, they're going to cost $80,000 million because that's a real number. Like, they're going to restructure him. I mean, we were so dead set on Sammy Watkins being cut. Nope, restructured. Yeah. Bye Mikkel. I mean,
Howie loves to work the cat.
Oh, he's so good at it too.
Yes.
I don't know what the hell he was thinking this draft, but that's besides the point. Brian, tell me what you think of the value of this trade, though. Did I give was Evans too much to give up?
No, I think it's good. I mean, I think the value's right on. I think oh man, it's hard for me to say it, but I think I like the Ertz side too. I like Ertz and Boyd. I mean, Zach Ertz in a tight end premium is just a stud. I mean, he's only 29 years old too. I mean, it feels like he's like 34, but he's only 29. So it's not like he's ancient, right? And tight ends produce up into their 30s. I mean, Travis Kelce's 31. You know, I mean, these guys are Greg Olson's 48. You know, I mean,
and
it's
he's about to have a tight end one season this year, right?
Yeah,
Dustin?
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, but seriously, I mean, tight ends can
I like having
produce
another
up into
Seahawks
their
fan.
mid 30s. So I'm not concerned at all right now about Zach Ertz's age. Obviously, the stuff with Goddard is something to pay attention to, but at the same time, I mean, Ertz and Goddard were a combo in that offense last year, and Zach Ertz had 88 catches for over 980 yards. So it's not like it moves him from tight end 2 or 3 down to tight end 10 or 7 even. You know what I mean? He's a stud. So I think I would prefer that side in this particular deal. And Tyler Boyd is, I mean, we've talked on the show before about how underrated of a guy this is. I mean, you know, yes, they bring in T. Higgins, but T. Higgins isn't gonna run the same routes and do. I mean, Tyler Boyd's gonna run the slot there, I think. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I mean, I think he's definitely going to be in the slot, and I think he's a really, really good slot receiver in the National Football League. So, so I'm excited to see that Cincinnati offense, and it can't get worse at quarterback. I don't think. Well, it could get worse than Dalton, but I don't
That
think
one
it's
game
going
with
to.
Ryan
I think
Finley, you can't get worse.
I think it's going to get better with Joe Burrow back there. So, so yeah, I would lean that side, but I think the value's right on. And Mike Evans, you know, with Tom Brady coming in there, we'll see what happens. We'll see how he uses those 2 receivers on the outside and the other weapons in that offense. Gronk now, you know, we'll see, but I think I'd lean slightly to the side you received in this one.
I like when everyone agrees with the side I got. It just makes me feel a little better. Okay, so trade Addicts 6 for this next trade. Now, this one, the person who sent this trade admitted he was paying to get his guy, but I need to talk about Michael Pittman for N'Keal Harry and a 21 second. Are we that dead on N'Keal Harry that we think he is worth less than probably the 204, 205 it took to get Michael Pittman, enough to add a 21 second on top of him?
Nope. I'm not.
I'm not. No.
I'm not either.
And anyone?
Yeah. I mean, there's
There's
there's definitely questions about the New England offense.
Yep.
But I mean, other than 40-year-old Julian Edelman, there's not much else to throw to there either. So, and everyone loved Harry coming out last year. He's still got the talent. So,
Josh, you're probably the closest, right?
I mean, mostly his lack of production.
I mean,
Last year was due to injury and Tom Brady hating him. Tom Brady's gone, so.
Yeah, Rocky, you need to go fix your internet, and then you can come back. I'm going to kick you out. Go reboot or something. So I'm going to... He through his garbled whatever it was, he made the point that I was going to bring up. Tom Brady being gone is great for N'Keal Harry for the 2 reasons of Tom Brady, the second you run the wrong route or you drop a ball, you're in the doghouse and you never get the ball again, which clearly happened because Harry just kept ending up on the IR. And then when he was healthy, he just never got the ball. And when he did well with it. Yeah. Like he always looked good. And now that, I mean, they're going to have Stidham, I guess, unless they do something weird, which, I mean, all I can do is listen to a bunch of the Patriots fans that we're friends with, like, the dummies, Zach and Kyle and Kevin Cotillo, all of them. They're just like, no, they're going to ride. They're not going to spend money. They don't have money to spend. Their defense isn't good enough anyway to take a mediocre quarterback further than they've been already. So I kind of agree with it. I'm going to stay with that, and I'm going to believe that they're riding with Stidham.
Well, and then Stidham and Harry have gotten a lot of work together since Harry wasn't starting. So now that Stidham's the starter, he's going to go to the guy he trusts in Harry.
Bam.
He has no work with Edelman, so he's going to go to what he knows.
Yeah, let's go back to Daniel Jones and Darius Slayton. You know, why everyone was like all of a sudden, oh man, Darius Slayton, we should have seen this coming. They've been working together on that second team unit the entire time.
Yep.
Yeah, and not to mention, guys that aren't as smart and as good as Tom Brady are more willing to chuck the ball up a little bit, and that's what Harry can do. Harry's very good at contested catches, so he is more willing to just chuck the ball up, and Harry's all the willing to jump up and catch it. So I think him being gone overall is good for Harry. Man, I would feel weird about offering this up straight. And I know he said it was because he was going to buy his man Pittman and, you know, where team go get your guy. I still feel dirty about that. Does anyone have like uber positive stuff to say about Pittman so we could make him not feel so bad?
I mean, it all depends on what you think, what your outlook on Pittman is. I mean, there's some people saying that T.Y. Hilton's on the way out. He's going to take over as the number one. And, you know, he's going to be a top 12 to 15 wide receiver for the next 5 to 7 years. And if you believe that, then Harry in a second isn't, you know, a crazy trade to make for that guy. You know, so if that's what he believes, then it's not a bad trade. But it all depends on what your belief is. And I mean, I think Pittman could be that, but I mean, I don't know if I would bet money on it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me is so yes, TY is still there. Yes, they have some young receivers, but it might not be Pittman that ends up being the guy. Paris Campbell, man, is everybody forgets about Paris Campbell. They drafted him in the second round last year too, and that guy's got just as much of an opportunity to break out and be the wide receiver one for the Indianapolis Colts as anybody else, and especially, I mean, also Michael Pittman. The other thing about Pittman that worries me is his injury history. So he has 7 injuries in college.
Wow.
that are documented. He had several AC joint issues, surgery on that particular joint. That stuff's just FYI, my information there's from Ethan Turner, Dr. Ethan Turner's injury guide. If you guys should check that out if you haven't yet.
Yep.
It's absolutely I think it's $10 and it's like jam-packed with visuals and content as far as the injury history on these rookies. It's a fantastic resource. But anyways, I was looking through that today and reading some tweets that Ethan had put out and some conversations that he was having back and forth about Michael Pittman and his injury history. And there's a significant injury history with Pittman. Now, Harry has an injury history too. So as far as that goes, you know, it's I get it, but for me, I mean, Harry has a chance. I mean, Edelman's getting up there, right? And they're who else do they have? Anybody. So, you know, I'm thinking that N'Keal Harry is definitely going to have an opportunity to step into the number one role. Now, the quarterback play is going to be an issue. Obviously, they got to figure out what they have in Jarrett Stidham, and then, you know, or God forbid, Brian Hoyer. And it's probably going to end up being Hoyer, and everybody's going to be so pissed off about it. It's going to be hilarious. But, you know, but I think Tom Brady being in New England actually hurt Harry. I really do. I think it's a different scenario with him now. Obviously, not a better quarterback, but a different scenario. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Harry can do and seeing if he can regain some of the value that he had. I mean, this is a consensus 101 guy. Pretty much. I guess that's not consensus. He was 101 for a lot of people in that draft class. So, you know, I don't know. I'm not paying a second with that guy to get Michael Pittman, who was probably taken more in the second round of rookie drafts this year than the first round of rookie drafts this year.
All right. So the thing with this year is, I think, will be good for N'Keal Harry. I don't think it's going to be good for Pittman for the pure, like, how's Mike Williams been?
Right.
And, well, I'm not saying Pittman is Mike Williams or anything, but they're kind of similar players. And I mean, Phillip Rivers is what he is at this point. So I mean, I don't really know if that's something I'm going like. We're hoping what Jacob Eason is a thing. That's who they drafted, right?
Yep.
Or they do something else next year because, I mean, Rivers is there for at least this year. He's on contract for next year, but I mean that doesn't mean he's going to keep playing. But doesn't really have the strongest arm anymore. And man, he made an Austin Eckler a 100 target player. I mean, so that's really what worries me about taking Pittman right now. Maybe after next year, when that quarterback changes, it'll be something different. But man, right now, I'm loving all of my Paris Campbell shares. And I know Brian just walked away because, of course, it's a live show and he has to go take a pee break. But I love that there are now two players that Brian has disliked, but I have liked from the beginning, and he had to turn that 180 on it. So Devontae Adams and now Paris Campbell. Now I just need Paris Campbell to actually be good and do something to make me fully vindicated.
Did you see? Sorry to change the subject. Did you see what Joe just posted to the Trade Addicts 3 group me?
Man, my internet is so bad that if I have group me open on like my actual computer, my computer lags. So no.
Anyways, the Browns offered number 1 overall to the Seahawks for Russell Wilson in 2018 before we signed him.
Seahawks offered Russell Wilson for...
So Baker.
Wait. The Seahawks offered Russell Wilson for Baker, pretty much.
Yeah.
That can't be. No. Okay, look, I get it. I love Baker. I love Baker. And the idea of a rookie contract is wonderful. But man, actually, no, that's a lie. It would have been the right thing to do. I wouldn't have liked it, but it's the right thing to do. Because they don't let him play anyway. So what's the difference? Why spend that much money on a quarterback? I love Baker. Baker's good enough for me. So I would have been fine with it. I would have wanted more, a decent amount more. But man, now that you say it, now that I think about it, now that I see Rocky zooming out again because his internet's terrible, yeah, I'd have been okay with it. And I don't care that it's fake, Mike. I know it is. Man. Okay, so let's talk about this because I think this is the way the NFL is going because rookie contracts are so big these days for quarterbacks. And, no one's going to pay Cam. Andy Dalton is probably one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the league, but still can't get a starting job. Are we going to see more veteran quarterbacks, like just pretty much thrown aside for rookies because it's worth it monetarily? Because that's how you win these days, rookie quarterback contracts and building the rest of your teams. Does anybody else see this becoming a thing, which I half do and half don't because it would suck for the players, but I mean, it's just the way it has to be in this league right now. I think until there's some sort of real wage scale, which I don't think the players would ever allow.
No, 100%. This is, I think, how it's going to go for a while. Getting those quarterbacks on these cheap deals and letting the veterans go is how they're going to win. Baltimore and Kansas City right now with their 2 quarterbacks and the contracts that they have right now, they're set up in a position to compete pretty easily next 4 to 5 years. Spend the money on both lines and go win a championship. Draft all the quarterbacks cheap and go from there.
I think
100%.
You can say that for QBs outside of the top 7 to 10. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to get to a point where, the Chiefs are going to say bye to Patrick Mahomes because it's going to cost them $50 million a year. But I mean, it's easy to say bye to guys like Andy Dalton and Cam Newton and guys that are either hurt or just are, maybe top 12 to 16 quarterbacks instead of top 5 to 7. So
Yeah.
I think the top guys are going to get paid, but the middling quarterbacks are going to be more easily let go of.
That's exactly how I feel. Guys like Baker, if he doesn't take a step up, Darnold, if we don't see him improve, those are the guys that we're not going to see get that contract next. And, maybe those veterans that maybe they are in that top 8 to 12 that just haven't taken their team anywhere, like Stafford, they might just end up having to find a spot somewhere else at a lower deal.
And especially because it seems like we go through waves of talent coming in. Like we go through dry spells of skill players coming in, of running backs, of wide receivers. We're in a very good stretch of years of good players, especially good quarterbacks coming in. So I think that's going to make it even rougher. I mean, next year there's another 3 or 4. The year after that, already there seems to be another 3 or 4. So I think it's going to, man, Brian, why are you pissing off Peter Howard? That's not how you do things. Peter is awesome. Kendrick Bourne is awesome. And you are wrong, Brian.
Bourne.
What?
I said I love Kendrick Bourne.
See, there you go. Peter, don't leave. We love you. So yeah, I at least like we had this big influx of running back talent, and we saw a couple of these veteran guys get a little screwed over, having to take 1-year deals. And I mean, I think we're about to hit a little bit of a lull at least like the middle. Like the problem is like we've had a couple like the 2018 draft and now this year where there's like 6 dudes that could easily take jobs. Like I think it's going to get a little harder in the next few years. So like I think that might even out a little bit. I mean, we're in a big flux of wide receivers, but at least now we're in a league where you kind of need 2 to 3 good wide receivers to have a good passing offense.
Yeah. So
I don't really think wide receiver is going to be all that affected. But like I think for the onesie positions of running back and quarterback, like we see that, and now the way the quarterback position has gone, like I think, like I don't even know who really coined the phrase of QB purgatory. I think that might go away. Like I think people are going to be so willing to move on from paying their quarterbacks $40 million just because they're the next guy that needs to get signed, where everyone was willing to give Andy Dalton, Jared Goff these contracts. Because there's always going to be 3-4 rookies that come in that could probably start pretty quickly.
I think you're just going to see that in every position, to be honest, where it's just all the elite guys in each position are going to get like a stupid percentage of the salary cap, and everybody else is just going to be, getting the scraps essentially. Because, I mean, so many people are replaceable, and even with all these offenses going to the spread where you do have 3-4 wide receivers. I mean, how many of those guys are really that much better than each other that if you get one of those elite guys, that's a huge advantage for you. And so I think that you're just going to see any of those other guys aren't going to get the money because they can just draft somebody that will replace them.
Brian.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the elite guys at the positions, just like Bill said, I mean, the elite guys are going to still get their money. Saquon's still going to get his money if he doesn't get hurt. Patrick Mahomes is going to get his money. Michael Thomas got his money. DJ Moore will get his money likely. But when it comes to the middle range players, the Jared Goffs, the Matt Staffords, those types of players, I don't think that teams aren't going to be able to afford to continue to make them the highest paid at the position and still field competitive teams. It's just not going to happen. So I agree with everything that Bill said there. I think that's 100% accurate.
Okay, I just missed the sound of your voice. It's been a little while since you said anything, and look how happy you just made Bill by agreeing with him.
Bill's a great guy, so I like making Bill happy.
Thank you.
And he says smart stuff, so
it makes it easy.
Yeah.
Brian, I want you to open your Trade Addicts 3 roster right now.
Uh-oh.
I want to trade you Travis Kelce on the air right now.
Yes.
Let's do this.
Dude, it's not going to work.
It's going to work.
I have looked at this trade 72 times. And I have not been able to put it together. So good luck.
73rd time's the charm.
73rd time's the charm.
So is Josh in line for Trade Addicts 3 if and when we lose somebody?
Oh no, that'd be way too much. Oh man, it might as well just be the DAP league, right? Okay. Let's see. So I have let's set the mood for all these people that aren't actually in Trade Addicts 3. My team's not great, but I got a good deal on Kelce. Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
And it pissed off Brian. So the second I knew I was going to piss off Brian, I'm like, okay, let me go flip this to Brian. And And I, of course, try and just gouge the heck out of him because I know he loves Kelsey, and he already has Kittle and Hooper on his team, so he might as well try a few more times. My usual starting lineup is Kelsey for something along the lines of Tyler Boyd, Allen Robinson, and a little bit. So, Brian,
That's not happening.
I will give you Travis Kelsey. Your team's good. You're a competitor, right? You're competing? Yes.
Somewhat.
I will give you Travis Kelsey, Emmanuel Sanders, because you know he's scoring points this year as the number 2 in New Orleans, and Mark Ingram, because you know he's scoring touchdowns, for Tyler Boyd, Allen Robinson, my 21 first.
No.
Ooh.
No. Here's the problem. Here's the problem that you left. This is what you left out in this. In the meantime, since you traded for Travis Kelsey and pissed me off in getting him, I traded for Austin Hooper. I traded Jay on our Zoom meeting when Nick set that whole thing up, and we had like 11 of the 12 guys or 10 of the 12 guys on that Zoom chat.
I fall asleep, and then you guys freaking pull off a trade. That's cool.
Yes,
No,
Jay and I made a deal where I sent Robert Woods in a second for Austin Hooper. So I got my second tight end in this league already.
Yeah, but you know.
I know.
Winning trade addicts leagues is just stacking those beast tight ends.
Yeah, so here's my question for you. If winning the trade addicts leagues are stacking tight ends, why do you keep trading elite tight ends away?
I have a problem.
Yeah.
Also, this team, this team's not good enough to win. I know that. This was one of the teams where I joined the dispersal just for the fun of it, and I really should not have done it.
Yeah.
I did it as well. Whatever.
Yeah, pretty much is what it comes down to. It was for fun. And so I came out of this with a team that is not ready to compete, and I completely understand that now. And again, I should not have traded for Kelsey. I have a trading problem.
So the thing for me with this particular league, and what's going to make it so hard on you, is that I'm loaded at tight end. I mean, I have Kittle, I have Hooper, I have Jared Cook, who's going to be a stud too over the next year or two.
Come on.
Get out of here,
Jared Cook's
Troutman.
like 100 already.
I don't even know Troutman's first name.
Adam.
There you go.
Man.
I didn't even know his first name until
Yes,
now.
you
So
did.
don't tell me Jared.
Yes,
No, I
you
didn't.
did.
So just don't tell me Jared. And then I got Jonnu Smith, who I know you're in love with too.
He's so athletic.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, it doesn't make sense for me. It's not that I don't like Travis Kelsey. It's not that
You just don't like winning. I get it.
no, it's not. I have the tight ends to win in this league, in my opinion.
Clearly not.
If
Otherwise, you would have won.
if I move these assets, these wide receivers for Kelsey, then I'm out at wide receiver. Now I'm sitting there with
You only
Keenan
have to
Allen
start
at
one.
wide receiver. Wow, come on, dude. I can't. I'm not. I can't.
I'm
do
sorry. Leaving you with Keenan
It was
Allen,
an
Odell
excellent-
Beckham,
an
Mike
excellent-
Williams and James Washington isn't good enough.
Wait a minute, Brian. I'm confused. This is a little off-brand. Why are you worried about starting lineups in May?
Ooh.
Who invited this guy?
I mean, I'm interested in Kelsey. Just throwing that out there.
Oh,
I guess for me too, it's the idea of two 26-year-old wide receivers, one of which is an alpha dog and a Penn State graduate.
The other
I
one
mean,
went to
dude, come on.
The other
I
one
mean,
went
come
to
on.
Pitt.
Penn State times 1.5 value.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
That
He knows better than that.
1.75 is better than 1.5. That's all I'm saying.
So Kelsey for Allen Robinson is what you're saying.
No.
Oh, that's what I heard right there.
Man, like I open up Dustin's roster. I'm like, are we really going to trade Tyler Lockett again to each other?
You
Like,
should.
I think we've traded him back and forth at least 3 times.
I mean, he has to be in the deal just because.
Yeah. I mean, the only way I can give you Kelsey is to take a player that I already traded to you, because I have given you Evans and Lockett, and those are your pieces.
Do it.
No.
Anyways.
All right, come on. We got to keep this going. Who has something good to talk about?
At the beginning of this season, I had Andrews and Kelsey, and now I have neither.
Yikes.
My only tight end is Higbee. So
I mean, that's going to be a good thing, though. Like, I think they're sticking with this 2 tight end set, which, okay, let's talk about this. In cartoon, I think it was Do-Gooders 1. No, 2. It was definitely 2. I had this guy trying to unload Cup on me. I wanted Miles Sanders, and he kept trying to up this trade to give me Cooper Cup. And like I wasn't super against it. I threw it out to the TA3 chat because I couldn't remember if the guy was a patron or not, so I didn't want to throw it in there. I've had this conversation a few times. It's impossible for me to really like escape all of the people I'm in leagues with at this point because they're everywhere. I'm in too many leagues, and I fly around with a close circle of friends, I guess. Matt, Cooper Cup like took a bit of a dive at the end of the season last year once they started running those 2 tight end sets. I saw a tweet yesterday from Matt Harmon, who does the reception perception, saying that against man or press coverage, Cooper Cup has never had more than a 12% success rate. Like, that's bad. And if they're running 2 tight ends, there's no one in the slot. Let's put it that way. So Cooper Cup ain't playing in the slot. So if going forward, and they extended at least Higbee, right? I don't think they extended Everett yet also, but like they seem like they want to do this 2 tight end set. Like, is Cooper Cup a goner? Bill's nodding yes.
I think so.
I mean, drafting Van Jefferson, who plays very similarly, kind of at least there's some writing on the wall. If one of those guys can't play outside, I think that Cup's gone.
Yeah, they probably won't pay him when it comes time to pay him.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, I sent you an offer.
Oh,
hey.
okay. While you're
so I just saw the name pop up, and I was looking as well.
okay, so while you're looking at that for a second, let's talk about this because this is the one sort of, if you can call it news, that actually happened. Mr. Eb, whatever. Sorry, bro.
I'm going to give a shout out to Mr. Eb. This is Ben. He grew up across the street from me, literally.
Oh, that's cool.
We went to elementary school, middle school, and high school together.
Nice.
What is the potential dynasty hit on Miles Sanders if Carlos Hyde signs with Philly as rumored? So the rumor was, yeah,
0, zilch, nada, nothing. Is that clear enough?
Okay, so here's the thing. We need to stop trying to convince ourselves that running backs that are in committees are going to get out of committees. It's the way coaches like to coach these days. Doug Peterson is not going to have a workhorse back unless all 6 other running backs get hurt and they don't have any money to sign a guy off the street. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, after Jordan Howard got hurt and it was Miles Sanders and Boston Scott, Miles Sanders started to do better, but Boston Scott was still getting a decent amount of work.
Yep.
We need to get it out of our heads that anything's going to happen that Miles Sanders is going to be a workhorse back.
They were always going to bring in another running back regardless.
I mean, I hope Boston Scott keeps his role, don't get me wrong, because I have a lot of shares, but also Carlos Hyde isn't good enough to really worry Miles Sanders. Like, no. The only thing you would have to worry is the coaching decision to take him out, not talent wise, in which case it doesn't matter who that body is. That body was going to take Miles Sanders out anyway. And I tweeted this out, and I think I talked about it last week. If you liked Devin Singletary at the end of last year, it is silly at this point to like him less because Zach Moss got drafted.
Right.
Devin Singletary was never a workhorse. We never thought he was going to be. They didn't sign any, like they were talking to Melvin Gordon, but didn't want to pay that much money. So like we knew they were always going to bring someone in. So them drafting Zach Moss, honestly, I think is good for Singletary. Like they don't really overlap and Moss gets hurt a lot. So like we need to understand the reality of the situation. Aaron Jones was never going to be a workhorse. It's just the way it is. It's a little worse now that they brought in a third running back, but that's a completely different story. So Miles Sanders, does his value take a hit if Carlos Hyde is signed? No. Because there was going to be someone brought in anyway. Yeah. But Miles Sanders is very good at football. He will get put out there. He will, and when he's out there, he will do the most with his touches. So I will not in the least be worried. If anything, you go find the guy that is worried and you go buy Miles Sanders from him.
Yep, that's the time to buy it, because I think that this happens every year. You know, people see the depth chart and they think, oh, this guy's going to get all the touches. Same thing happened with Kerryon Johnson last year. And it just happens all the time. And we know that they're not going to go into the season with 2 running backs. They're going to have a depth chart with 4 running backs typically. And, you know, you can't let every transaction of an NFL team affect dynasty value. So will the dynasty value change? Yes. For some people it will. But that's because they had expectations that were unrealistic. And, you know, but for most people, no, it doesn't change it.
All right, Brian, where are we at?
Yeah, I was about to say we have one. We have another question in the chat,
I'm not done talking about Miles Sanders yet. So,
can we just say he went to Penn State and then move on?
1.5.
No, it doesn't. I mean,
1.5.
Let me. Okay, so here's the reality of this. Okay, and yeah, regardless of whether he went to Penn State or not, I mean, yeah, he did, but that's a moot point in this argument. Miles Sanders touched the ball 51% of the times, 52% of the times for running backs last year for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he was the RB12. The RB12. He was an RB1 in his rookie year with over 1,300 yards total offense. I am not concerned about Carlos freaking Hyde. Jordan Howard is a better running back than Carlos Hyde at this point in his career by a lot. By a lot. Thank you. There's no way Carlos Hyde gets 119 carries next year. I don't care who it is that's telling you that. They're not bright.
Remember that time last year at our hot take show that I said Carlos Hyde was going to be running back 15?
I don't.
He was on the Chiefs at the time. To be fair,
the thing about again, Miles Sanders 52% of the touches out of the backfield in that offense last year, and he's an RB1 for fantasy purposes. There's zero chance outside of injury that Miles Sanders doesn't lead that backfield by far. Yes, it's going to be a committee. Boston Scott is still going to get work. Absolutely. And he can be a viable flex play. There's no doubt about it. Carlos Hyde to me is, I mean, they just re-signed the
Corey
kid
Clement.
from Wisconsin. Yes,
Clement.
Corey Clement. Correct. So they just re-signed Corey Clement to a contract,
but he's just
like a 1-year deal.
I don't think anyone has to be worried about him.
Bro, that's all Carlos Hyde is too.
Yes.
That's all he is. For anybody other than Bill O'Brien, who just traded DeAndre Hopkins for water. I mean, Carlos Hyde is a body. That is what he is. This backfield is Miles Sanders and Boston Scott. Unless one of the two of them gets injured, even if they sign Carlos Hyde, it's not. They didn't sign him yet, did they?
No, there was just interest.
Okay, so even if they do sign him, he's a body as well. He really. I can't imagine those other backs. I mean, Sanders obviously, and Boston Scott too. I mean, Boston Scott was good last year.
Yeah, he was doing good. Like even from when he was. What was he? Was he even drafted, or was he in UDFA with the Saints? People were pretty high on him, so it was awesome to actually see him. But he was doing really well at the end of last year.
Here's what I call a not take. Michael Warren will see more of the field than Carlos Hyde.
There you go.
Yeah, sure. All right. So, are we doing? Are we talking about this trade offer, or are we going into the questions in the chat?
Because I gotta jump off here, Brian. So I want to know.
Ooh, he's putting the pressure. Let's talk about it.
The answer to this particular offer is no. I'm looking at countering currently.
Can we hear what the offer was? Huh? Can we hear what the offer is, or do you want to?
No, sure.
And keep it secret.
No. I'll share this one since we're live on Periscope, live on YouTube, on the DAP_network, the DAP network, Dynasty Addicts Trade. Dynasties, yeah, we got to get used to.
You got it.
Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network. So Dustin offered me Ben Roethlisberger, Kerryon Johnson, Mike Evans, and 2/3 for Jacob Eason, Mitch Trubisky, Tyler Boyd, and Allen Robinson. And my answer is,
I love Dustin so much because I know what he's doing.
Yeah, he's going to flip the two guys you want to you for Travis Kelce.
Well, hey, Brian, Mitchell Trubisky is your number 2 quarterback.
Yeah,
in a super flex league.
I'm working on that. There's another person in this league that is on this network currently.
Yeah.
And we've already had discussions over quarterbacks. So, yeah. So I'm looking at multiple. It's not Rocky. It's Bill. It's Bill. He's right there, Russ. Don't disrespect him like that. Come on.
Well, anyways, guys.
No, but
thanks for
anyways,
having
yes,
me. I do have to jump off.
Bye, Dustin.
Bye, guys.
Man.
Pleasure.
Well, since
Thanks
your
for having
co-host
me.
never actually did anything, just throw your handle, tag, whatever, and talk about your show for a second.
Yeah, so I'm Dynasty Junkie FF, co-host of the Dynasty Junkies pod at Dynasty Junkies on the Twitter spheres. Come follow us. You know, we're doing a little bit different take on the trade aspect of shows. You know, submit us your rosters. We will find you a trade. Talking about commissioner stuff. You know, just having a good time. So we got a good guest lined up this week. Bobby Koch will be joining us this week as well.
Ooh,
so
nice.
2 episodes in. So just having a good time. Come check us out.
Rock and roll. All right. Later, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys.
See you, Dustin.
GD.
Okay, so we had John McGlynn ask us, would you trade away Derrick Henry to get Julio Jones in a Dynasty full PPR league?
Oh.
I think I do. Because I got to be like, we're scared of Julio Jones being old, but like, this is Derrick Henry. This is it for Derrick Henry. It doesn't matter how old he is. He's going to get a job next year. It's not going to be this. It's not going to be on a run first team where he's going to get 90% of the carries. So I think their output shouldn't be all too different. Yet Julio Jones can fade gracefully into the sunset. Derrick Henry isn't going to be so graceful. Like, I think he's going to stumble over a broken step, and wind up a few steps down. So I think I would do that.
Yeah, if I'm getting Julio, I'm doing that too, because I don't see Derrick Henry in Tennessee next year. Could be the Darrington Evans show for all we know. But unless he signed to one of the few teams that are still run heavy, like your Seahawks, Russ, I can't see him continuing to have the value he currently has. And I mean, Julio's a beast, and we keep hearing how old he is, but I mean, I feel like I've heard that argument for 3 years now, and he just keeps producing. So,
look, this is the year Larry Fitzgerald and Frank Gore retire. I'm telling you.
This is
the year.
Is it 2027 yet? Because I mean, those guys, I feel like are going to be there with the roaches and Twinkies when the everything blows up. But yeah, I mean, I would take that deal in a heartbeat. Give me Julio. I'll take his last 3 to 5 years. He can die on my roster, and I'll be happy.
John puts, what if Henry goes to Jacksonville? I mean, like, you can't be like, what if this guy goes to this one place? Like,
right.
That, like, they're the only other team that's really ever going to do that. And you don't really know what, I mean, they brought in Jay Gruden, who's not that guy. So we don't really know what their offense is. And they brought in Chenault, who wouldn't really fit in that ground and pounds kind of game. Like, they're talking about using him as a running back and stuff like that. So who knows? Like, I don't know if that's the game they're going to play anymore. The only reason you'd think that is because Marrone is still their coach. But the league is going away from Derrick Henry. So like, there's going to be less and less of a chance of there being a team that's going to be willing to do that. So I don't think I'll be a little less specific. Like, when you have this player and you're thinking about the what ifs for the future, if it's what if he goes to this one place, you got to get off that, because man, there's a very small chance that's going to happen, because so many stars need to align for that to actually happen that you don't even know that's what that team wants or that player wants. So, man, like, what if Henry goes to Jacksonville? I mean, like, whatever. I mean, like, that you can't bake into value. But
Russ, let's go down that path a little bit, because from everything that is being reported, Jacksonville's trying to tank. If they end up getting the first pick and they take Trevor Lawrence, does it matter that Henry goes to Jacksonville?
Well,
I mean, at
exactly,
that point, they're gonna set themselves up like every other team in the league to be a pass first team. They already have DJ Chark. They have Laviska Shenault. they probably do exactly what Cincinnati did this year in the first pick of the second round. They take that wide receiver that should have been a first round pick, like T. Higgins, and they make him their first pick in the second round, and then all of a sudden, oh, cool, Derrick Henry's there, but now they have 3 good to pretty good wide receivers and Trevor Lawrence. So, like you said, a lot of things would have to happen for Henry to still be good in Jacksonville.
Any other Derrick Henry thoughts or a new question? I keep forgetting I could do this.
The only thing I would say is just, I mean, my comment on this one's more about Julio Jones than it is about Derrick Henry. And I mean, the thing about Julio, I mean, for the next 3 years or so, you're going to get 85 to 110 catches, 1,300 to 1,600 yards, and 6
Somewhere between
touchdowns
2 and
every
12
year.
touchdowns.
Well, I mean, but even if he scores 2 touchdowns, you're talking about the wide receiver 4 or the wide receiver 8 on the bottom. I just can't. I mean, for me, I'm gonna take Julio Jones in that. You know, I think it's more likely Julio puts up those stats for the next 3 years than it is that Derrick Henry does what he did last year for the next 3 years. So,
right.
and that's what it would take for this value to be equal.
Yeah, no, all right. Yes, I think we all agree. I put it up on the screen again, Mr. Eby. What are your thoughts on Antonio Gibson's role this year and beyond? Drafted all over. Anybody have strong feelings on Antonio Gibson?
He is. That whole situation is like the biggest like confounding situation. Like I just have no idea what's going to happen there. I mean, I still like Geis, but the fact that they're drafting and adding more running backs concerns me about him. I mean, obviously they're concerned and they don't want to just enter the season with Geis as their main guy without, you know, exceptional depth. And I'm not sure Geis fits kind of what they want to do anyway with a new coaching staff. So Gibson's really intriguing, but at the same time, I've heard this on a few podcasts where like his total touches throughout his collegiate career is like 170. So if he was that good, why are they not using him more? And so that's a concern. I mean, he looks amazing when he gets the ball. I mean, he kind of reminds me of like AJ Brown a little bit, like as a receiver. I mean, he's obviously not that skilled and refined, and he's just a big dude. So, I mean, he's interesting and intriguing, but I think he has the lowest floor and highest ceiling of anybody in that range of, you know, rookie draft picks.
Yeah, I agree because like it really is weird to see that his range of outcomes really could be, man, like why can't he be definitely not a workhorse back, but like 70% of what David Johnson was when he was freaking phenomenal. Like decent runner up the middle, definitely a good runner to the outside and a great receiver. And we love Geis. We want Geis to be a thing. I think there's reality we might have to face where he might be not be a thing, and that does in fact make me sad. But yeah, they still have Adrian Peterson, they still have Bryce Love, who also has his own problems with health. They signed Peyton Barber, I think it was. Like, I mean, they don't want to be stuck where they were last year. They are going to be bodies, except when you take a step backwards, the most athletic guy they have there is Gibson, and I think at the price you have to pay for him, worth a shot in every single draft. I find myself with a lot of him just because at that point, why not? Like late third, or I mean, maybe he started to sneak up a little bit, but like if you could still get him in the mid late third, like I mean, what else are you getting around there that you think has that ceiling? I'm not going to actually go look because I'm way too lazy and starting to get tired. But like seriously, perfect kind of player to grab around there.
He just went 203 in a 12-team
Right, well, that's ridiculous.
A little early.
Yeah, that's wrong. All right. Well, we have been going for about an hour and 50 minutes, and I'm getting a little tired. I see Brian doing the face rubs, so I think we're going to start to wind it down a little bit. So while we still have the full hosting crew of a podcast Josh, Bill, why don't you tell everybody who you are, what awesomeness you guys do, and where they could find the awesomeness that you do.
So I'm Josh at Real Fantasy
Love
TL.
that Josh knew, just like, oh, I'm going to go do this first. Don't worry about it.
But every time someone says this, Bill's like, you got to do this. And I'm just used to it where I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm Josh at Real Fantasy TL. Me and my main man, Bill at Super Duper Flex. We co-host the Fantasy Timeline. We just scour Twitter and kind of find cool things to talk about, whether it's trades, whether it's draft theory, trading theory. We kind of cover all the bases. When we see a cool article written by someone, we'll shout them out too. It's really just us on Twitter, kind of doing what everyone does on Twitter, answering questions and stuff. We just put it in podcast form, and that's our whole thing. So you can find the show Twitter at Fantasy Timeline, and obviously, we get a lot of our questions from people who tag us and stuff. So if you want to hear your question on the show, tag us and you might get there.
And we're on at 9 p.m. on Wednesdays on YouTube and Periscope now that we're on the network. So if you want to join us live, and then we're also on, a podcast form, just kind of like what Trade Addicts is doing now.
Woo woo!
Come to the same place you are right now on Wednesdays.
And subscribe right now.
Oh yeah, click that little bell button, get that notification for anytime we go live with anything, so you know that we doing stuff. Well, thank you, fellas, for coming on. I am so glad you guys actually said yes to coming on to our little network family. Not gonna lie, when Brian and I were talking about it from the very beginning, I mean, I wanted to ask you two, and I threw out the message to the two of you, and it could have been 45 seconds that it took one of you guys to answer, but it felt like an eternity. I was just like, oh my God, why aren't they saying yes? Are they going to say no? Am I going to start crying? I might cry anyway. I don't know. And then you're like, yes. And I'm just like, oh, thank God. So it is a joy and wonderful pleasure to have you guys aboard. So rock and roll, fellas.
I mean, the pleasure's all ours. I mean, when I saw you DM us, I was like, is this a joke? He can't actually be talking to us. Like, we haven't been on that long, but I mean, I know Bill and I talked about it, and we were both super pumped when you guys asked us. And, I tell this story all the time. Russ, you're kind of one of the fathers of the Fantasy Timeline. I came to you for advice when I wanted to start a pod, and you were like, dude, just go and do it. Like, don't worry about what your setup is and all the technical stuff. Like, you'll figure that out along the way. Just get out there and do it. And so I always, when I tell the story, I shout you out and a couple of other people that were real influential. And now, not only did you kind of get us off the ground, but now, we're part of the DAP network. So that's awesome.
DAP. Oh, I just whacked my mic stand. You just killed that moment, Brian.
Whoops.
All right. So, Bill at Super Duper Flex. I don't think you actually said that after all of that. I'm going to kick you off so Brian and I can say our goodbyes like we always do. So we will talk to probably you guys in like 20 minutes after we're done, because that's just what we do. Bye.
See you guys.
Kick him out. Just me and you, Brian.
Yo.
Ooh, the way we started. Yeah, so we're just gonna wrap stuff up now. I did not have to play with my headphones nearly as much as I did last time, so I think I'm getting used to it. Every once in a while I did get a little warm, so I threw them open, but there's no discomfort this entire time. So I'm thrilled. Thank you. Who was it? Scott Fish. What are these? Like Cowan E7s? Recommendation for these headphones. They're awesome. They're very comfortable. And if you ever feel like listening to 30 hours of Bluetoothed music, apparently that's the battery life on these things. I will not be testing that out.
We're going to do a 30-hour podcast, man. You just didn't know that yet.
Dude, I feel like we did that the draft weekend. Oh man,
Yeah, right.
definitely
Oh my word.
doing that differently.
Yes.
Before you want to do the championship thing, Reed?
Yeah. As soon as I get it up here. So yeah, the DLF Champions Cup Series.
Still don't have it
thing.
open. Should I?
No.
Okay, so if you liked what you've been watching, you've been having fun, you were in the chat, or you're watching this after the fact, and you loved watching us make fools of ourselves, sort of in person, patreon.com/tradeaddictspod. $2 and up, you get access to our live stream every week. You can join the chat, throw us questions, we constantly are corrected by the people that are in the chat with us, and we will absolutely shout you out when you do. $5 and up, you get a part of the Cool Kids Club group me chat, which is just filled with amazing people and people smarter than me and maybe as smart as Brian, I'm not sure. But it's just so much freaking fun, so many good people. And what else do we do? ffpodshirts.storeenvy.com.
All kinds of new stuff.
I threw up a bunch of the DAP Network stuff. I totally promised those guys I would throw up t-shirts and stickers for their pods, which I forgot to do. But I will be doing that soon. Most importantly, you know what we didn't talk about, Brian?
What's that?
Before we recorded today, I watched the volume 2 of the Disney sing-along that was on ABC yesterday, but we watched it tonight. So good. I don't know if you watch the first one with your daughter or not.
I watched Disney. So yes, on Disney Plus. So I watched about half of the first one. It comes on at 8:00, so my daughter typically goes to bed at like between 8:15 and 8:30. So we watched the first half.
Yeah.
And then, but we did not see the second one yet. So
it was on yesterday, Mother's Day. We watched it today. We recorded and watched it today. Infinitely better than the first one. It was so good.
Oh, good to know. That's good to know. Yeah. The first one was okay, but I wasn't overly impressed. So that's good to know that the second one was better.
It definitely stepped it up. This was
awesome.
And I feel like it's very on brand for us that we need to talk Disney a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So we did Patreon, we did pod shirts, wristbands.
Yeah, so
do you have your wristbands back on?
I do have my wristbands back on.
Okay.
Boom.
$5 DM Brian Har. $2 of every wristband goes to Fantasy Cares. 10% of all the pod shirt stuff goes to Fantasy Cares as well. And now Brian can talk.
Yeah, so if you guys are looking for leagues, and this time of year, I know the startup itch gets real strong. If you haven't scratched that itch yet, Dynasty League Football has partnered with Safe Leagues and Scott Fish to create the brand new DLF Champions Cup Series. In the DLF Champions Cup Series, you're matched up in a Superflex tight end premium division with points and payouts awarded each year. Bonus is that every third year, your cumulative points go up against a larger field to see who wins the Champions Cup. The tight end premium, I believe, is 2 points per reception. So it's a very significant, bonus. Passing touchdowns, I think, are 6 points per passing touchdown as well.
Yeah, because you got Mahomes at 3 or 4, and that was just silly, right?
Yeah. So it's a pretty neat format. So if you're interested in that, go claim a team and begin your journey to hoist the Champions Club and claim the $1,000 grand prize. So lots of money on the line too, every 3 years. So, and I still haven't written the new website down. It's just go to safeleagues.com.
I think it's just dynastyleaguefootball.com/safeleagues.
There you go. Just go there. You'll be able to find it pretty easily. Over there, but yeah, it's a really cool format. I'm in one of these leagues, and it's a really cool deal. So go over there and check out the new DLF Champions Cup Series leagues.
All right. Well, on that note, night, Brian.
Night out, Al's.